Alrighty guys, we're back for Froggy Aggro, and this is a Bloomburrow Standard brew, and I'm Red Cat. Let's briefly go over the deck, then hop right into some ranked. Check out all of our Froggies. We have 4 Valley Mightcallers, a 1-mana 1/1 with Trample. Whenever another frog, rabbit, raccoon, or squirrel you control enters, put a +1/+1 counter on Valley Mightcaller. Nice, and we actually have more in here that actually aren't frogs that can also put those counters on, like a Pawpatch Recruit making the cut as a rabbit. We'll go over that in a second though, because I specifically said check out our froggies. And we do have more frogs, of course. We have all 4 Sunshower Druid. This is a 1-mana 0/2. When it enters, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. And you gain 1 life as well. Beautiful. We have all 4 Mistbreath Elders. This is a 1-mana 2/2. So what's the downside? Well, at the beginning of your upkeep, return another creature you control to its owner's hand, which in this build in particular, hopefully that's not too much of a downside, and hopefully it's actually an upside. So if you do, you put a +1/+1 counter on Mistbreath Elder. Otherwise, you may return Mistbreath Elder to its owner's hand. Interesting stuff packed onto this card. More frogs. We have all 4 Pond Prophet, 2-mana, 1/1 rockin' Simic hybrid colors up there in the casting cost. When it enters, draw a card. Nice. We have all 4 3-Tree Scribe, 2-mana, 2/3. When 3-Tree Scribe or another creature you control leaves the battlefield without dying, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control. Nice. We have a couple Dour Port-Mage as well. This is a 2-mana 1/3. Whenever 1 or more other creatures you control leave the battlefield without dying, draw a card. And then also for 1 in a blue, you can tap this, return another target creature you control to its owner's hand. We have a couple Clement, the Worryworts as well. This is a 3-mana 3/3 legendary creature, rockin' Vigilance. Frogs you control have tap, add a green or a blue, spend this mana only to cast a creature spell. And most of the deck is creature spells, by the way. We have 34 total creatures in here. Holy cow. Now also, when Clement or another creature you control enters, you can return up to 1 target creature you control with lesser mana value to its owner's hand. So maybe you can play those froggies again and get those enter abilities again. We have a couple Long River Lurkers here in the 3-drop spot as well. This is a 3-mana 2/3, rocking that Ward 1, and other frogs you control have Ward 1. You guys know how I feel about Ward. I love it, so I like to see that on a card. Just all of our froggies getting that Ward. Sounds good, actually. So also when this enters, target creature you control can't be blocked this turn. Whenever that creature deals combat damage to a player, you may exile it. If you do, return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. Not bad. Also at the top end, another froggy, we have Dreamdew Entrancer, 4-mana, 3/4 with Reach. So when it enters, you can tap up to 1 target creature, put 3 stun counters on it. If you control that creature, then you draw 2 cards. My goodness, I don't know why I couldn't read that for the life of me, huh? So what's neat about that though is if you end up tapping down one of your own creatures, with this deck in particular, it's not going to be unheard of to just blink that creature, get rid of those stun counters that way, or return it to your hand or something like that too. So a good card draw or a great way to tap down an important blocker that the opponent's rocking. Okay, we have cards that work with frogs like Polliwallop packed in. It costs 1 less to cast for each frog you control, so I do believe we're going to get this pretty cheap. Hopefully 2 at the most, but I do think that there's going to be some games where we actually get this down to 1 green mana. Target creature you control deals damage equal to twice its power to target creature you don't control. All right, not bad. Also rocking Splash Portal. This is a 1 blue mana sorcery speed. Exile target creature you control, then return it to the battlefield under its owner's control. If that creature is a bird, frog, otter, or rat, draw a card. So if you're blinking your frogs, you're drawing a card. You're replacing the Splash Portal with itself. And if you're blinking something like Pond Prophet, that's actually pretty darn good, especially if you have like a Valley Mightcaller on the board too, getting extra counters and whatnot. Okay, so about that rabbit, huh? We have all 4 Pawpatch Recruit, 1 mana, 2/1. That's all it needs for me to play it, but it also has Offspring for 2. Happens to be pretty good, so you can kind of consider it like a 3-drop as well for a couple little rabbits hitting the board. It has Trample, that's good. And then whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature you control other than that creature. Pretty good, guys. It really is. And then also, Another non-frog creature made the cut as a 2 of Scrapshooter. This is a 3-mana 4/4. It has gift a card, so when it enters, if the gift was promised, destroy target artifact or enchantment an opponent controls. And you know what enchantment I really want to pop with this? Temporary Lockdown. I feel like Temporary Lockdown is going to be very scary against this deck, so... Also being a raccoon, it's another thing that can buff the Mightcaller when it enters. Also just being like a 4/4 for 3 mana that also has reach should be pretty darn good too. Okay, in the honorable mentions over here, guys, thought about the Lilypad Village, thought about the Hedge Mage, probably because I think that the deck list is going to be relatively greedy when it comes to what mana we want open on the board. And also thought about the Restless Vinestock, which actually all the honorable mentions are land, which reminds me we should go over the land real quick. We have all 4 Sanctums in here. Early mana is going to be very important. Also rocking the 3 Coast. Now I see why I had those in the honorable mention. Yeah, so hopefully the Pain Land doesn't do too much pain to us, as the Pain Land has been very dangerous for me, as aggro is everywhere, and it is very strong. Also, 3 Cavern of Souls, calling Froggy more often than not. And then a couple Oakhollow Villages here, leaning just a little bit green because that's what the deck is leaning towards. Okay, guys, I do my dandiest to save the more in-depth discussion for the end of the video, so look forward to that. In the meantime, let's go ahead, take this into some ranked, and see how we do. All right, right into that first game. What am I expecting from the build? I don't know. I'm expecting a little bit. When people are playing frogs against us, it looks super good and super scary. I don't know how many of these frog builds that we're going up against, though, also run like Pawpatch Recruit and whatnot, too, though. So this is actually a pretty bad starting hand, right? With only the Cavern of Souls, 2 cards that we can't cast, no guaranteed second mana. We should mulligan. Okay, much better. I don't know what to send. I kind of want to keep the Scrapshooter for some reason. I'm going to send the Long River Lurker. How do we feel about that? We want to get that Mightcaller down first before the Recruit, of course. Discard a card. I already had so much trouble. Probably the Polliwallop then. If it's Orzhov discard, that makes the most sense to me. Another Mightcaller is pretty good. So good, in fact, if they have us discard, I'm tempted to discard the island. Just have our 1-drops. Carrot cake. All right, we're not discarding this turn. That's good news, at least. Splash portal. We don't have 2 green sources. We could splash portal the Recruit, or we could just set up the other Mightcaller. I guess we could splash portal the Mightcaller without a counter to get another counter, and then it replaces itself, and we're using our mana. I think that's okay. It's 1 extra damage to you. Yeah, I don't mind that. There's definitely better stuff to hit with the splash portal, but... Hopeless Nightmare. Is Mistbreath Elder the discard? Or is it Scrapshooter, since we have no guaranteed third, and there's no guarantee that it's also going to be a green source? Yeah, I think I talked myself into the Scrapshooter discard here. Because now, if we do see a third, we can always, like, offspring the Pawpatch. Oh no, my Mightcaller, no! So go ahead and keep that chump blocker back. We do find the third, and this is not terrible at all, guys. Pawpatch Recruit. Another swing. Alright, they decide not to chump because of that trample. Trample always coming in handy. So once we get the Mistbreath Elder down, I wonder if it would be worthwhile to bounce the Recruit back to hand to continue the offspring. Honestly, probably, right? Because what else are we going to bounce back to hand? We don't want to bounce the token. Ooh, Scrapshooter. Create a Wicked Roll token. That's not worth popping, probably. The Curse isn't worth popping. The Carrot Cake on the stack, they could... So, if we play Scrapshooter, we're playing it because it's a 4-4. And of course, we'd play it because it buffs the Mightcaller. They might double block the Mightcaller, which wouldn't be bad, too. I don't want to discard the Scrapshooter, so I think we are going to play it. I'd rather discard the Elder, and I hope that's okay. Taking a lot of pain damage. I know that much. Yeah, this is very much like a Pixie-style deck where they want to bounce the Hopeless Nightmare back to hand. And I will... Yeah, I will swing with the 2-1 as well. Give them an option of a double block onto the 4-4, and then we get the 2-3 on the Recruit. Oh, they get a 1-1 when that is sacrificed too. Oh, man. Actually a lot. So now they do have full blocks here. That's pretty bad, actually. So Carrot Cake is one of those ones that you guys keep bringing up in the comments. I really need to visit it. Because it has a lot of potential, huh? Yeah, even on the sacrifice, it's not just food. You also get the 1-1 in the scry on the sacrifice, too. And that's actually pretty wild. A Cavern. They probably would trade here, huh? They have another food here. I wonder if that would be worth the trade. I'll call Frog, I guess. I don't think that's worth the trade because this is like a Liliana style deck too. Or a deck that would have sacrifice abilities. And so we want to be able to have this 1-1 to sacrifice when it comes time. And I think... Oh. Mistbreath Elder's a problem with this current board state. I don't want to bounce that token. It would be a 3-3 though. No, I'm actually just going to keep Elder, and if they do find a way to have us discard it, I guess that's fine. I think I'm valuing our board state more than getting the Elder down. Even though if we bounce the token, the Elder does go up to a 3-3. But then what happens on the next turn after that if we don't hit something on the top here? A lot of card draw in the build packed onto our creatures, so hopefully we get to see some of that soon. Ooh, Pawpatch Recruit. That's what I'm talking about. All right. We'd probably swing with the Scrapshooter first. Although if we go Pawpatch Recruit before the swing, I guess on the stack of the Recruit they could still remove the Scrapshooter. So it's a similar concept where the Go for the Throat would have just hit before the Recruit came down anyways. So that's fine. Okay. And we'll get the Elder down and we'll start bouncing that Recruit back, which is actually just really good. So this Hopeless Nightmare Scry is probably really helping them out right now. And they're going to start gaining some life here on the food too. They're going to send both to the bottom, guys. Anyone's game, easily. At any point, they could find a top end that starts gaining them life too. Because they slowed us down. Wow, they did find a top end too. It's a Viper. Oh, buddy. Let's just lose the 4 life. We're officially in danger. Yeah, the Pawpatch Recruit. Extra counter there. Sunshower Druid. Okay, that's not bad. Yeah, this Rotten Mouth Viper, that was good. Yeah, the Scry on the Hopeless Nightmare has been really good for the opponent. How do we want to do this? No great swing. We could start. I guess we got to get this Mistbreath Elder above the 6. I don't know if they start swinging with this Viper, guys. I don't know. We're not wide enough right now to actually make any pressure happen. Do we just like pass it back and hope that they don't find more top end? Yeah. As far as the Viper swing goes, we'd have to chump and maybe take 8, right? And we would chump with the 1/1 that we just generated. Okay, they don't swing. That is great news, man. Holy cow. We actually have a decision here. Could continue to try to go wide with these tokens, or just get extra counters on the Druid. And I think it would be the Druid, right? That's much cheaper. And there could have been something else that we saw off the top that we also wanted to play outside of the Recruit. So they'll have a trade into the Elder, which would not be a bad trade for us, right? I wonder if they would just chump with the Hex Mage instead. With 5 creatures, if they target something with their 1 card in hand. All right, it's do or die. Let's start swinging. Because the longer the game goes on, the more the opponent can see the top end. More Vipers, they go back up to 14. They're going to actually go Viper into a Recruit. Okay. Okay. And they go for the trade there. So they're taking 8. We have a chump blocker for the Viper and sacrifices still. Okay, they do go for the chump, actually. Not a bad swing. We lost one valuable creature, and we're going to be forced to chump next turn if they do swing. We better play this, guys, and I'll call... This might be silly, but a raccoon, in case we see our other Scrapshooter, then we don't have to take the pain damage on the coast. Okay, they go for the swing. So if we lose 8 and then chump block, we'll have 10 on the board, but they have 2 cards in hand. So I will lose the 8. Down to 3. Chump block. Other than that, we could have sacrificed our chump blocker, taking 4 and then taken the 6. Oh, we have to bounce a creature for the Elder, but we still have the counter as well. They do bounce the Viper, guys, with a Pixie. Oh, no. Oh, that's rough. Okay, well, yeah, we definitely have to sacrifice something here because we're at 3. That was really good, man. We need to see something that's not mana for sure. Okay, so return this Pawpatch Recruit. It's a Mightcaller, and it's not that great. We still have a good swing. It's something, though. It's something that matters. If they block here, that's, yeah. Yeah, we got to keep 2 chump blockers back just in case they find spot removal on the top, but also we're going to have to sacrifice. We're going to have to sacrifice 2 things next turn, too, when they swing with the Viper. So I think it's going to be the opponents, guys. Yeah, they swing regardless of what they see on top. We have to sacrifice the Elder, the Mightcaller, and still have a chump blocker for the Viper swing because it's a 6/6. Wow, this was tough, huh? This really could have gone either way. Overall, I think our deck played out pretty well. Okay. So it has to be... Yeah, we have to chump it no matter what. So we have to sacrifice 2, lose 0. And then we have to chump. And then I don't think there's going to be a way to actually get that 3 damage through in here. Polliwallop. Dude, 1 turn late? That would have been so good. Oh no. Well, GG opponent. Yeah, it's like I was saying, this really could have gone either way this whole time. We can discard and still take in all that excess damage there. Brutal stuff, huh? All right, let's keep the ball rolling because I do think our deck played out pretty well. And early on, also, guys, we did discard a Polliwallop. So maybe it could have been a different discard earlier, and maybe that game would have been much different. And if the opponent would have missed their top end too, of course, that game would have been much different as well. But it's not unheard of for them to find that Rotten Mouth. It's a very scary card if we don't have an answer for it. All right. You can always call Raccoon on the Cavern to have the green. We'll save that for last just in case we need it. I like it. We're keeping this. And probably start with the Mightcaller into the 3-tree Scribe and then set up the Elder. How do we feel about that? I think turn 1 Mightcaller is regardless just like a good play. Like, I guess Elder could be good too because it's a 2-2 that swings right away as well, but... Splash Portal. Yeah, it's going to be the 3-tree Scribe. It does affect combat, so we want to do that before. Get that 2 through, and yeah, we could totally call Raccoon on this if we want. But at this point too, depends what we draw, because it might just be Elder for the turn and start returning the 3-tree Scribe back to hand. Okay, this could easily be control. I don't mind the island. I'm going to play the island before playing the Elder. That way we have 2 open in case it's one of the fancy pants counter spells. Okay, Elder lands. Mightcaller gets a boost. And Splash Portal onto the Elder for another Mightcaller boost would not be terrible. And I might plug the counter. We spread it wide. Okay. Because we could start plugging the counter onto the Elder. It's less of a swing, though, for the turn. Get that buff there. So actually, we start with the 5 swing, right? Because if it's 1 piece of spot removal from the opponent and we get the Mightcaller up to 5 with all the counter abilities, and then they just remove our 1 creature. By separating it like this is what I mean. We're playing around 1 piece of removal. And it is going to be that 1 piece of removal as well. So we might just hold off on the Splash Portal for now. And we'll go for these map tokens onto the Elder, since we're going to have to bounce the 3-tree Scribe. Yeah, that's totally fine. Nice. Getting some land off the top so that way we're not drawing it. That's a pretty good turn. Temporary lockdown. Hey, Scrapshooter. I have a job for you. I have a job for you, buddy. There we go. Pond Profit. All like this stuff. Pond Profit and whatnot would have been great in that last game, as we were in a top deck war. There's a reason there's 4 of them in here, right? All right. Oakhollow Village can come down. And Scrapshooter. Let's do this. Gift a card. Totally worth it. Because we're gifting a card, sure, but we're popping this to get 2 cards back. Totally worth it. And then we still have Splash Portal, which we could... Yeah, that's worth it, right? We'll Splash Portal the 3-tree Scribe. And I'll plug the counters so that way the damage is wide here. And then we bounce the 3-tree Scribe. So more land is really bad. We do not have much land in here, guys. I think it's 20. So hopefully we'll start drawing stuff that isn't land, especially on the Pond Profit. Which of course would have been a little better to blink with the Splash Portal, but when we have that mana open, I just feel like that's worthwhile. Alright, I'll put that onto the Elder as well. Ooh, okay. Clement. We start with the draw on the Pond Profit, and I'll actually play this and call Frog too. Get that down so that way we can start stop worrying about counterspells for our Froggies. They're tapped out right now though, so. Could it affect combat? Do we want to start for the draws? Maybe. Yeah, we'll start with the draws. I don't know exactly what would affect combat right now with this current board state, but I guess it could. Another Scrapshooter is fine. All right, let's swing for 9. And we'll rotate out the Clement. We'll bounce the Pond Prophet back. And then I guess we're going to have to bounce Clement back too because of the Elder, but if the Elder survives, and if it does, it's a pretty chunky creature. Okay, Sunfall is at the ready. They do not have the Sunfall. GG opponent. Very nice. Our deck totally did the thing. There's probably a bunch of ways I could have played that out a little bit differently, right? Probably. But I'll tell you what, hitting that temporary lockdown with that Scrapshooter, oh, buddy. There's a lot of temporary lockdown going around and really messing with my builds, especially the type of builds that I like playing with. So, yep, that was good. That felt like what Froggies is supposed to do. Let's keep the ball rolling, huh? And guys, while I have you here in the middle of the video, make sure you check out that description where we got that Discord link, as well as that Patreon link too, if you're interested in joining either of those up. Okay, we go first, and I like the hand a lot. I guess we'll start with Mightcaller. Oop, almost played the wrong land. Also, guys, while I was bringing up that description and whatnot, we might as well bring up all the other YouTube nonsense as well. So if you like the video, make sure you drop it a like. And if you like the channel, then consider subscribing. We're getting very, very close to 4,000, which is awesome. So thank you, guys. Can I Ash Portal? I wouldn't mind getting the Dour Port-Mage down, but going wide with Frogs is probably good too against a cut down style build. So let's go Mistbreath Elder. So I'd say the Mightcaller's worth the cut down, not the Elder. That is the correct decision from the opponent. But going wide with Froggies is still pretty good, especially when we're bouncing that Druid back and potentially getting that Elder a little bit more beefed up. Yeah, so they have two open now, so just some more generic spot removal could definitely be available in the opponent's hand, right? Go for the throat or anything like that. We want to consider Pond Prophet I actually really like as a draw here. Let's start with the swing, see what they do. Going to be more generic spot removal. Shoot the Sheriff, actually. Nice. So let's go for the draw, because we could find mana. And then we could play the mana and play the Druid. It is not mana, and that's fine, especially when we saw so much mana in the last game. But it still ended up working out, but yeah. We're going to need 3. So that way we can start doing more than one thing a turn. Ton of Bones joins up. I'm actually going to get rid of the Long River Lurker. Even though that ward would be really good against... Oh, no, that's too good. That's too good. Okay, we have 2 Dour Port-Mages. I'll get rid of one of those. Yeah, the ward could really help out, so... Alright, bigger swing there. Yeah, this is worth it. We'll go Druid, because we get a little bit of a swing through. And hopefully we find some mana here. We do not find mana, but another Pond Prophet isn't terrible. We also could have blinked the Pond Prophet, but I want to start swinging. The opponent slowed us down significantly, just from 2 pieces of spot removal. Nah, 3 pieces of spot removal. And another splash portal. All right, let's start with the draw on the Pond Prophet, see if we could find that 3rd mana. We do not find the 3rd. Oh no. Okay, well, I guess we're gonna have to go for the Pond Prophet blink with the splash portal, right? Draw a couple instead. Ruthless Negotiation. Exile a card. Dreamdew Entrancers, the furthest away from being played, so I guess, but tapping down Shieldred when they play it. We'll be okay. We'll be fine. Oh no. Oh no. We see mana off the top. Getting the Mage down and Splash Portal on the Pond Prophet would just completely restock our hand. So I got to stick with that, right? Well, I guess we only need one Splash Portal to pull that off. Okay, but the Splash Portal, I don't know. Hey, mana, let's go. All right, go Frog. And then do we restock our hand? Yes, we do. Yes, we absolutely do. So get the Dour Port-Mage down. It's just a demolition field over here. We don't have to worry about them cutting down on the stack. On profit. So now we're just restocking our hand instead of going for the damage. Oh, except I missed one damage because I definitely should have swung first. The Pond Prophet could have swung. Oh, well, I hope it doesn't come down to one. That would be embarrassing. Another long river lurker. Nice, because I do think that ward will come in handy, but we're having some trouble here. Okay, this time I'll get rid of the island, funny enough, even though, because right now I only needed the 3, I would say, and I hope that's fine. Plus, more likely to see more mana off the top than anything else. Find a go for the throat, and it is going to be more mana too. Okay, well, we play the mana, because I don't mind having the 4th, although this could be a discard when it comes time. I want to blink the Pond Prophet. Oh, we wouldn't be able to blink the Sunshower Druid anyways, because it has to deal damage for the Long River Lurker, and that's a 0/2. Okay, Pawpatch Recruit, not bad. It's gonna be... we have to discard a card here. Okay. I don't really know. I think the Pawpatch Recruit's a little bit too valuable right now. The Polliwallop's really good too, though. And so is the Pond Prophet. I think it's the Pond Prophet, though. I hope that's the correct play. Okay, Valley Mightcaller. Wow. Okay, we're not going to worry too much about their little 2/2. I don't want to lose the Polliwallop because that's going to be really good when it comes time to take care of their top end. 3 Ruthless Negotiations, huh? No great swing here, but we have the swing with the Long River Lurker. With the swamp open, we have ward on our frogs, though. So, yeah, we'll start with the swing. If they take the 2, they probably do, right? Because they could find better chumps. Valley Mightcaller. Now we're talking, guys. Offspring. Yeah, not bad. Not bad at all. I hope they don't drop a board wipe. I guess that's possible. They do find a 5th mana, so what is it? It's Deadly Cover-Up at 5 for mono black, right? That's what it's called. I always forget the name of that card, but I think it's Deadly Cover-Up. Is it? Yeah, probably. Something like that. They do have the 5 mana for the Ruthless Negotiation. They actually just go ahead and play the Thought Stalker Warlock, and that does make a lot of sense. Losing the Polliwallop definitely sucks there. Mana off the top is terrible. But I guess we start with the swing, because they don't know what we drew. And we accept trades and a double block into the Lurker. Do we accept that? Yes. Probably. Maybe? Yes. But we don't accept the blocks into the 1/1s, because this is very much the style of deck that would run Liliana. We want a lot of ways to sacrifice. They actually go for the double block onto the Mightcaller, which is a little surprising for me, but I guess they're afraid that we're going to run away with it. I'm going to play this before we have to discard it, and then hopefully we don't see more mana off the top, guys. The beginning of the game, we were like, man, we really need that 3rd, but right now we do not need any of that. They pay 5 to draw a card. Okay. Okay. So this reads, +1/+1 counter on each frog, rabbit, raccoon, or squirrel you control that entered the battlefield this turn. So not doing too much for us right now. If we go for the full swing and they don't trade, they just take one of the 1/1s and they go down to 5. And then they're safe next turn if we don't find a way to buff anything on our board. But taking 5 down to 5. They don't know what's in hand. Alright, we'll go for it. We'll go for it. And I don't think we went for it last turn. They go for the trade. Okay. So down to 6. I think they opted for the trade because they didn't know it was in hand, potentially. But it's definitely worth playing that village. None of those entered, so no extra counters. So no point in tapping that. But I mean, I guess we could tap it for fun. Since we have nothing else, right? Opponent has 3 cards in hand. This is anyone's game. We definitely need to see something better off the top. At least the mana we saw was usable mana, but we're going to go ahead and start powering up this bandit's talent. Still have 2 mana available. Hopeless Nightmare. Hey, we might be okay for the turn, but we need to figure out how to get that damage through. Mana off the top, guys. Oh no. That's so bad. We're swinging. We're playing the mana. We're awkwardly passing it back. And this is still anyone's game, guys. We'll have to double check how much mana we have in here. But they go for the draw. It looks like we got there anyways, guys. We did. GG opponent. Thank goodness, right? Because it felt like we were getting really unlucky here in that mid-game. But it looks like the opponent got a little bit more unlucky. So good stuff, man. Yeah, not bad. Guys, we're about 36 minutes in, unfortunately. I'd love to play some more, but I'm a little crunched on time today. So you guys will have to let me know in the comments if you want me to revisit Frogs at some point. This was a lot of fun. And of course, at some point, we will eventually revisit Frogs, but yeah, here's the deck list again, guys. I think that those 3 games really showcased the deck overall. I think if we played 3 more games, I think we'd have a similar win rate too. It felt pretty decent, actually. I probably could have played it out a little bit better too, especially in that first game. There was probably more optimized plays that I could have chosen. What to say about the build? Valley Mightcaller is a really good 1-drop. I like this a lot. In the right build, of course, right? Pawpatch Recruit, a really good 1-drop. It's not a frog, but it works with the Mightcaller, and it kind of sort of works with the whole blinking aspect, or in this case, like returning to hand aspect. If you had to return the Recruit with the Elder, at least you can play the Recruit with the Offspring again and keep the extra Pawpatch Recruit Offspring token on the board. That's actually really neat. So I really like this lineup of 1-drops. I do like all 4 splash portals too, because it's just really effective. It's a really effective blink spell for just 1 mana, where you're blinking a froggy, getting those ETBs again, and then you replace the splash portal too. That actually just kind of seems insane to me. The Scrapshooter as a 2 of was so worth it. Yes, taking out temporary lockdown. You love to see it. Also just like value card overall. And that reach is really going to come in handy against certain matchups too, like especially mono red with their slick shot show off. A 4/4 is probably still going to be able to trade with the show off even after a combat trick, unless it's like a combat trick that gives first strike or something, of course. I think the double Dour Port-Mage was good. The 4/3 tree Scribe, we only saw this once in one of those games, right? I think we still want all 4. I called it aggro for a reason, and not like combo and not like tempo, because we're really just trying to plug as many counters onto these early guys as possible. So I think all 4 makes a lot of sense there. And as you guys saw, it's actually still pretty hard to keep things in our hand, even with all this extra card draw on the Pond Prophet and the Dour Port-Mage. So I guess maybe we could consider 4 Dour Port-Mage instead. But I like the +1/+1 counters instead too. And even when we're replacing our cards too with the splash portal, yeah, it was kind of still difficult to keep our hand stocked. So maybe even more card draw would actually be pretty good in here. But I don't know, because if you actually establish some combos, then your hand is going to get a little bit too stacked. And Dreamdew Entrancer is technically card draw as well if you target one of your own creatures. Then we saw how easy it is to just blink things or pass it back to the hand, so getting rid of the stun counters would be really, really easy. I still like the 2 of here, and again, I called it aggro, so I don't think we want all 4 of these. I know some frog builds are running all 4. I don't think it would be worth it. I also don't have more than 2 entrancers, so I'm definitely not going to craft 2 more of these, not yet at least, right? Similar concept with the Clement. I do like the 2 of, and I actually don't have 3 of them either, and I don't think it would be worth the craft to go 3 of them, or 4 for that matter too, right? Especially since it's a legendary creature. The mana base felt pretty good. The 4 Sanctum, of course, is going to be the best mana in here, and the Cavern of Souls too, I suppose. But the Coast didn't seem to be doing too much damage, but we also didn't get a chance to test the deck against the super aggressive things. I actually think we actually would have a chance against the super aggressive things. If we saw mono red today, I think we could keep up pace, especially if we went first. Now, don't get me wrong, though. Any deck going up against mono red, if mono red goes first, it's going to be a rough time. It's going to be your turn 3, and you're just going to be like, well, I think I'm dead. So I'll just play the fun thing, I suppose, right? So, yeah, if we went first against some of the super aggressive builds, I actually think this would have a chance, especially when you start growing these frogs out of control, out of the range of burn spells, right? Especially the 4 of lightning strikes that's making the cut and all those. Yeah, I think we'd have a chance, man. Anything else I have to say about the build? The 2 Oakhollow Village. I would have loved to see this do a thing. I do think it will do the thing. It's definitely going to be worth the 2 of. And it's not going to hold you up too often where you can only spend that green to cast creature spells. It's not going to be very often where you're like, oh no, I have to play my Polliwallop, but my only green source is the village. That's just not going to happen very often. So yeah, definitely worth the 2 of. Honestly, might even be worth more of these. Something to consider, I suppose. Yeah, not much else to say about the build. Let me know what your frog deck looks like down in the comments. What would you add or take out of this list? Let me know. Was it worth the Recruit and the Scrapshooter edition? I think so. I think these were excellent additions to this froggy aggro list. All right, guys. Enough rambling, huh? If you made it this far into the video for real, y'all are champions. I super duper appreciate you, and I will see you in the next video.